No, you don't need the.
I'm doing this my way. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend. He a legend, he a legend, he a legend.
Talking on it though, then
He a
you can't bring it up later.
Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of idols. Welcome to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league, to the league of idols.
Welcome back to Summoner's Rift. In our first match, we have FPX taking on the Rogue Warriors coming off their upset over LGD. You thought that upset was crazy? Well, hold her my beer. At the 23-minute mark, Rogue Warriors is on soul point, but FPX isn't going down without a fight. Both teams are setting up in the mid lane, and Holder looks for an Ornn ult. Set power bombs into the enemy backline like a madman, allowing Rogue Warriors to press forward. Haro gets onto Ornn and insects him back into the team. Thresh flashes forward, and Haro finishes off 2 more kills. Haro? It's Haro, and he just single-handedly put FPX in the ground. What a match by the Rogue Warriors. Are they for real? Probably not. After winning Game 1, LGD is looking to close out EDG, who are caught sleeping in the bot lane. Mark moves forward and marks Mako for death, getting a knock-up on 2 and allowing Kramer and Peanut to put on the finishing touches. Longshi ults forward, turning off the tower in their base, and EDG is done for. It was an easy sweep for LGD. Next up in Korea, we have Hanwha Life taking on DRX. After winning Game 1, DRX is looking to close out Hanwha Life, but Hanwha Life has managed to keep this one close. Can Viper and Lehens carry? Ha 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 ha! No! No, you idiot! The Fangless Viper and Hanwha Life pushed forward to engage with Poppy, but Haru died before Tarek's ult could even help save him, allowing DRX to chase down Hanwha Life, more like Hanwha Lifeless, in the mid lane. Chovy flashes forward and seals the game with an Emperor's Divide. GG, DRX! In our last match, Damwon Gaming is doing unspeakable things to a freak of freaks in Game 2. Showmaker has this one rated NC-17 for gross depictions of violence and defilement. A freak of freaks is looking to be aggressive in the bot lane and managed to take out Ghost, but they were the ones about to become ghosts as Noguri TPs into the bot lane on Kennen, securing a quadra kill. Showmaker just sat there and watched. Disgusting. GG, Damwon Gaming. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Pykel with League of Items, and I'm going to chop up the videos, probably into like an LPL video, LEC video, LCS video, just so it's a little easier for people to get the info they want. It's a little bit more work for me, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. So let's just talk about the Rogue Warriors situation. So Rogue Warriors, obviously Billy and I have been big fans of them because of their playstyle, and it makes the games more volatile, and it allows them to take games off of good teams. But nobody could see their win over FPX coming. Like, the people who played it on DraftKings, I think that it makes sense, because even if they go 1-2, if they win one game and like have the highest kill score, then they could be the higher scoring team from the match. But like, anybody who is telling you, oh man, Rogue Warriors, they're gonna win tomorrow, like, I think that's a little extreme. So for DraftKings, like I said, I think it kind of made sense. But FPX is looking pretty concerning right now. So I'll probably have to move them down even further in the power rankings. I think that talent-wise, they're still very talented, but this is pretty concerning that they're dropping these matches. I think that until they fall out of the playoff picture, we shouldn't be that afraid. Because even just making it into the playoffs, I think over a 3-game series or a 5-game series, I still think they have chances against most of the really good teams, because they should be one of the really good teams. So I just wanted to take a look at these drafts real quick. So we have Thresh, we have Ashe. Ashe is one of those champions, we've talked about this before when I kind of criticize teams for how they kind of read the meta. So Ashe is a champion who has not really received any gigantic buffs recently. She's been played because of stylistic differences with the popular AD carries. So she's pretty good into Aphelios, she's pretty good into Ezreal, she's good into a lot of these popular champions. But that doesn't mean that she's broken. It just means that she is a good response pick a lot of the time. So as a blind pick, I discussed this with somebody on Twitter. I think that a blind pick is like a certain kind of pick, and then a a response pick and a counter pick are two different things. So they weren't countering anything by picking Ashe, and most of the time when we see Ashe being successful, it's because the blue side team picks it and says, we're playing Ashe. If you want to play Ezreal or Felios, go ahead, but we're going to have Ashe. And the other thing that I think teams are kind of not fully paying attention to is the combination of champions that really is perfect for somebody like Ashe. So when you're playing Ashe, a great champion as a support is Bard, because Bard has a long range engage, Ashe has the long range engage, and you're going to continuously force the enemy team to flash, specifically the AD carry if they're playing something like a Felios, because the flash is very important to maneuver late game team fights, because like we always say, it's like a pocket passer. You need to kind of be able to push them off of their spot. So then they blind pick Renekton. A lot of people criticize blind picking Renekton. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. It's not going to lose you the game normally, but it's not the best champion in League of Legends right now. So they banned out Ornn. I wish that they took something like Ornn. I think that it's a little scary picking a tank blind into Holder. Into an enemy top laner, but Holder is not the kind of player that I am going to be very afraid of. So I'm surprised they went that direction. They pick up Corki as their last pick, so I think that their draft really wasn't that bad. Or actually Kassadin as their last pick. I guess they only played Corki in game 2. So, I mean, going into the game with this draft, I would expect FPX to be able to win this game, because Kassadin is a great champion, Ashe is relatively good, and is pretty supportive for somebody like Kassadin. So they must have gotten outplayed pretty early. I was asleep during this game. Keep going. Game was relatively close. Game is still relatively close at this point, but let's see how they started building up their lead. It looks like Haro had something to do with it. So Haro has been playing very good in the last couple of matches. I immediately identified Haro as somebody that I was very interested in last split when he started playing after Wei Yan left, because he has these carry performances. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking for in junglers, because it gives you chances to win games. So Renekton comes in with the teleport flank and then immediately gets out. Mordekaiser comes in. So I think this just seems like a misplay from FPX. Yeah, so if DoinB waits a little bit longer, I think he actually has a chance to get a couple of kills and just go absolutely nuclear in this game. So that game kind of was decided by a coin flip. Earlier today on the LEC broadcast, one of the analysts said that I think recently in the LEC, or this season in the LEC, if a team has a 2,000 gold lead at the 15-minute mark, then they've won 100% of games. And I've been talking about the 2,000 gold lead for years. So it's just nice to be verified by these leagues that are doing all of this additional work to come to the same conclusion that I did years ago. And the one thing I wanted to say about that is the reason it's like a number like 2,000 gold is because of the ability for it to help explain teams that are snowballing, that were set up to snowball, but also it helps explain when like a scaling team gets that 2,000 gold lead, it's even more oppressive. So it's not just that snowballing compositions are getting a 2,000 gold lead and able to win the game, because when you're playing a snowballing composition, I'm sure that number could be a little bit lower, and you're just able to continuously compile a small lead through like the 25-minute mark, and then once you're at the 25-minute mark, you'll need to kind of make the game ceiling play where you're pushing that gold lead up significantly higher. When you're a scaling team, if you get that 2,000 gold lead, you can kind of sit back and relax and just let the rest of the game scale out. So it's the 2,000 gold lead doesn't tell us how these teams are going to win the game. It just tells us that they are most likely going to win the game, because that 2,000 gold threshold encompasses the most likely. It kind of narrows the range of outcomes into easy play styles for the teams. So like once you get that buffer of gold, then you're able to make the decisions that are good for your team. So if I'm up 2,000 gold and I'm a snowballing team, I can force every objective. If I'm up 2,000 gold and I'm a scaling team, then I don't really have to do I don't have to fight anything. I can just give up and trade objectives. So let's look at the game 2 draft. I really don't think that there was anything that insane from these drafts. I love Kassadin as a last pick there. I think that it did make a lot of sense. It's just they died at they died at the wrong fight, gave up a 2,000 gold lead, and Rogue Warriors didn't throw it away. Rogue Warriors have consistently created gold leads. Well, not consistently. Rogue Warriors often create gold leads in the early game. They're just not able to finish it. So now it looks like they're able to actually finish out these games. They'll be interesting to watch moving forward. Again, I think that this was not a fluke, but I think that it was unlikely for them to do this against a team like FPX. So let's see what they did in this pick ban. So Thresh, they pick up Kaisa and Set. So this is kind of peculiar. I don't think that Kaisa is a good blind pick at all. It's actually a pretty bad blind pick. There are a lot of options to kind of make her life a living hell in the laning phase. Set is a very popular champion in the LPL and the LCK from a pick ban perspective. But I'm not sure if you really want to lock in like a short range composition into Thresh. First of all, Thresh. But then also you're going to face something like the Ashe, like the Varus. Like, I'm wondering what they thought their win condition was this game. So then Haro gets Lee Sin again. Haro is a very good Lee Sin player. Tian picks up Olaf, which is a reasonable pick against Lee Sin, but it just kind of makes the entire game decided within the early and mid game, because neither of these champions are going to like significantly outscale the other unless they build up a gigantic lead, and that's not really an easy thing to kind of guarantee. Typically for FPX, we do feel comfortable saying they will be able to create that lead, but it's not optimal drafting strategy. The other thing I would say about this team composition is that they're very heavy magic damage. I know that there is some kind of like hybrid damage with Corki and Kaisa, but yeah, not really sure that they're going to be able to shred any tanks, but Rogue Warriors doesn't have any tanks. But still, from like a zoning perspective, Corki is the kind of champion who can kind of play the game from far away. Kaisa, for the most part, is going to eventually need to dive into the back line to get some kind of pick. So Ornn does want to go in, but can also like long range engage, which is helpful. The Olaf can run into the back line. I don't like this draft nearly as much as I like the first one. And we showed this clip. We showed this clip in the video earlier. So basically what Rogue Warriors did in this game is they continuously found picks throughout the early and mid game, which really made it difficult for FPX to keep the game close. Not really much more I have to say about this game. So let's just take a look at the lines for tomorrow. So it's funny, I always use Odds Portal to get the initial line because they aggregate the lines from a bunch of different websites, but they actually had the wrong games listed for the LEC. So sorry about that yesterday. I ended up posting my picks in Discord later on, but it was really bizarre. That's never happened before. So let's go to China. So we have Billy Gaming against Dominus. Billy Gaming is the favorite at -227. Dominus, they have looked horrible recently. They haven't picked up any match wins because they're just not a very talented team, and they continuously change around their players. Billy Gaming, now that they have Meteor back in their lineup, they've been playing significantly better. There's a lot of upward mobility with Billy Gaming. I think that it's correct that they are the favorite. I don't think there's much value on this side because Dominus will probably end up winning one of these games. For DraftKings, I think Billy Gaming is the much more interesting side, and they will probably be led by Meteor, who's had some great games. Fun's interesting. Wings is interesting. I think a lot of people will get exposure to them. It'll be interesting to see how they're priced on DraftKings. I did not have the pricing. Let me get the rosters real quick. All right, those are the rosters. So we have Kingen, Meteor, Fofo, Wings, and Jinmo against Chalizi, Xiaopeng, Twyla, Zubin, and Yui. Yeah, I just don't like the talent on Dominus's team. In the second match, we have the Shining, Rookie Puff, and Baolon for Invictus Gaming against Nu, Xiaolong Bao, Xiaohu, Gala, and Ming. RNG, they're moving in the wrong direction right now. It's pretty upsetting as somebody who was kind of hopeful that they would be able to make strides and like solidify their roster moving forward, but now they're moving between Betty and Gala. They're moving between Xiaohu and Cryan. It's just pretty concerning. It seems unlikely that they'll do very much in the playoffs. But in this match against Invictus Gaming, it's pretty interesting. I think that Invictus Gaming is the better team, and I know this is going to sound surprising, but they're the more consistent team, at least from a match-winning perspective. I know that they look really bad when they lose, but we can't be too focused on the individual games that they lose. It needs to be more focused on, like, how often do they actually close out the series and win the series. So what I would suggest is thinking to yourself right now, in Invictus Gaming's like match history, when is the last time that they lost a match, and who was it against? Right? So without looking it up, think about that for a second. Okay, so in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 matches, they are 6-2. They lost to LGD, who is a pretty good team. Not a great team, but a pretty good team. And they lost to JDG, who's a very good team. They beat LNG, which is a bad team. E-Star, bad team. Billy Gaming, with Meteor back, so a little bit better. They beat Dominus. They beat FPX. They beat EDG. They beat Rogue Warriors. They beat Sunning. They're taking care of business, even though a lot of the match scores aren't what we necessarily want. And like a lot of the DraftKings scoring hasn't been there because they're winning these matches 2-1 instead of 2-0. But you shouldn't. Personally, I don't think that you should think to yourself that they're incapable of winning these matches 2-0. And in some of these losses, they're still putting up a ton of kills where the DraftKings scores are good. So Invictus Gaming is a team that you have to consider every single night to put into your lineups. It just comes down to salary often with them. So like if they're the highest priced team on the slate and they're going to be highly owned, then sure, maybe look somewhere else. But if they offer some kind of leverage or are at a low ownership, I think you have to seriously consider playing them. And we'll go over that with the sheet tonight. Around 10 o'clock, I believe, I'll be live. I just want to get the DraftKings contests up in front of me. So Billy Gaming is the biggest favorite on the slate. So Billy Gaming has been getting a lot of ownership recently because they have been scoring pretty well, or they've been good underdogs in different spots. So I think DraftKings is anticipating everyone wanting to play Billy Gaming, so they're priced up very high. Invictus Gaming is second in most spots. T1 is number 3 in most spots. And then Sandbox is 4th. So that's very interesting. Let's look at Korea real quick. So KT Rolster against Sandbox. We will have the rosters for that first match. KT Rolster will make substitutions within the game, so that's pretty concerning. T1 will also make changes between Cuz and Elim. In their last match, Cuz looked pretty bad. I could see them going to Elim tonight, so you do have to be somewhat concerned about that. I don't know that they're switching up their roster, but it's certainly a possibility. Both of these games are 50-50. I think that's accurate. On DraftKings, I think most players will just assume that Sandbox is a better team and that the ownership will be more slanted towards Sandbox Gaming. I could also see players avoiding this game altogether because it is somewhat uncertain about who's going to win. Billy Gaming seems like a pretty easy choice on DraftKings over Dominus if you can make the salaries fit. Invictus Gaming, because of RNG's most recent results, I think more people are going to go that direction. RNG has a lot of losses recently. They lost to V5, lost to World Elite, lost to FPX, beat EDG, lost to Sunning. But Sunning is a good team. FPX is a good team. World Elite is a good team. V5 is a good team. And they beat JDG. So they definitely have the ability to take down Invictus Gaming. I could see that match be very high scoring. So I think on DraftKings, both teams will get a decent amount of love in the form of ownership. T1 against Gen G. T1 has looked very shaky in regards to the macro game recently, but I do think that overall they're still a better team than Gen G. They consistently perform against Gen G, so I'm not really that afraid of this matchup. From a DraftKings perspective, I could see this going low scoring or high scoring. It's not one of those matches that's going to be easy to project or forecast for DraftKings purposes, because T1 and Gen G are both looking at this as we need to win this match to help solidify our playoff position because these are the ones that are kind of in question in their mind. They're confident they're going to beat everybody on the bottom half of the table or outside of the top 4. So these are the matches they really have to take seriously to create a little edge for themselves, because the higher you finish in the regular season standings, the less number of matches you have to play in the playoffs. So it's very important. The regular season is very important in Korea, probably more so than anywhere else in the world. So that's basically it. Did we get the second roster? Yeah, so we got both the rosters. We got all 4 of the matches. That's basically it for this video. I'm going to do another video for the LEC once I have a couple of clips from the LEC matches. I'll put out another Esportscenter video for that, plus a little quick breakdown like what I had on this video. And then I'll also be making an LCS video at some point today. So thanks for watching. Make sure you check me out on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. If you have the means, check out Patreon, check out Discord. You'll get access to my picks and the sheet. And that's basically it. So thanks again for watching. Have a nice weekend, and I hope to talk to you later.